Makers and Finders is a bustling, full-service specialty coffee bar that serves an inventive Latin brunch menu with family-style hospitality. This is a coffee shop that makes a difference. They partner year-round with several nonprofits. And on Friday, November 15th at 6 p.m., they're hosting a guided whiskey dinner at their Henderson location in collaboration with High West Distillery. I love High West, and this meal looks incredible. Tickets are available now on their website, www.makerslv.com. Come fuel your American dream at Makers and Finders today. So today on CityCast Las Vegas, I'm joined by my co-host Dayvid Figler and Bertha Gutierrez, who, as a new citizen, voted in a presidential election for the first time this year. We are celebrating the end of this election cycle, and whether you've already cast your vote or you're waiting until the big day tomorrow, we're going to tell you what to expect. It's Monday, November 4th. I'm Sarah Lohman, and here's what Las Vegas is talking about. Bertha, Dayvid, what's your game plan for Election Day? Do you have any rituals? What are you going to do that night as results are coming in? Lay it on me. Bertha, what's your plan?
I'm going to pick one of the pizza places that you'll share in a newsletter. And I'm going to order some pizza and just be glued to the news.
Glued and glutened to the news.
Yes.
Yeah, Election Day is the most popular day for pizza. Did you know that, for pizza takeout and delivery?
I learned very recently from the Hey Las Vegas newsletter.
Hey, sign up online. All right, so you've got a pizza plan and you're at home with TV. How late are you going to be watching, do you think?
Probably not too late because I have to work the next day. And as we know, is that we're not going to know. We're not going to know. It's going to take some time. I am fully expecting Las Vegas to be or Nevada to be the last ones to throw the results up there.
Oh God, we're such divas.
Yeah, so I'm just, I'm excited. I'm mostly going to be scrolling through memes because I think those are amazing. So I'm approaching this with joy.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of high emotions. So I am doing the best I can to really inject all the joy that I can into this season.
Democracy is actually fun. It feels really joyful to go vote, too. Dayvid, so what are you doing on Tuesday?
I am the opposite. So I think that early evening, I'm going to find a bar that doesn't have any TV sets, which is going to probably be Silver Stamp downtown, and have a couple and then probably walk home. Where after the results start coming in, I'll give it a little bit of time, and then I will go to the handy-dandy Nevada Secretary of State, the official election results website.
It's a very good website. It's very clear.
It is very clear.
You can watch everything come in, the bars go up.
Although it seems to me a little slow, so I got to wait to let it. It's like when I binge watch, I want to make sure there's enough episodes on there, so it's the same thing. When I go to that site, I'm going to wait to make sure there's enough of the vote in. And then I'm going to close my eyes, wake up in the morning, and see what happened. I can't...
And refresh it again.
No, I'm not going to keep refresh. I think I'm going to go one time. I'm going to try to aim for that 28% of the vote, at least, in. And then as long as Clark County is represented in those numbers, because, they definitely have a sway over what goes on with the results. And then, I'm going to leave it alone and wait for the morning.
Oh, my God. I remember I was back in Ohio last election and just refreshing that map every morning and staring at Nevada. What is happening? What are they doing?
This is the strategy for us to keep correcting people's pronunciation of Nevada, right? This is the opportunity to be at a national level and keep tackling that issue.
We bring the attention. I'm working on it with my mom. I keep saying, I'm sorry, I live where? Right, Nevada. So there is a big change in how we're processing ballots this year that will hopefully make this go faster and we'll actually get some more results. During the last election, Nevada took a real long time to get those votes counted, and that's because mail-in ballots could not be processed until Election Day, and now they're already being processed. They've been processed since October 21st. So, Dayvid, when you hit that first click, all the mail-in ballots, most of the mail-in ballots will already have been processed. There'll be some info.
Once the polls are closed, they start posting results. Yeah.
Exactly. And so you will actually have quite a few results in, we assume.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people have voted early for sure.
Yeah. So Tuesday, what am I going to do so I don't spiral? This is my first election day on the West Coast, which in a way is far more, I don't know if it's better or worse, because when you're out east, your polls close first. And so that's when you're up until like midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., like waiting for these other states to close. But by the time our polls close, it will have been 3 hours since the first polls closed on the East Coast, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, like, what's that vibe like? Is it going to be more comforting? Is it going to be awful?
So that's my one cheat at my process of kind of like staying out of it is I will incessantly follow the New York Times of those East Coast states. I mean, Pennsylvania has a very bad reputation of being super duper slow. That's probably the biggest prize in this election. So which way Pennsylvania goes is going to be a very decent, I think, bellwether.
Oh, man, they throw a real party, though, while they're counting those votes. Did you see those videos coming in off the streets of Pennsylvania in 2020?
Yes. So
people dressed up as dancing mailboxes.
I'm curious about all the other swing states, just like every American. So I will do a little bit of that. But when bedtime hits, it's bedtime. I'm not going to be waking up in the middle of the night and checking stuff.
Yeah. Listen, you've both already voted. I haven't yet. So for people who haven't voted yet, what should we do to prepare?
Oh, man. Okay. As a first-time presidential voter, I did not realize how much preparation it takes to vote.
Oh.
Like, you really have to go through your ballot. Like, because you want to vote for, you want to vote for everything.
Yeah.
You don't want to leave blanks. Yeah,
you don't want to leave anything blank. But so you have to, like, go and read your ballot and all of this. I also go on people's social media. I'm like, I don't know anything about this person. Let me go on their social media.
Yes.
What are the vibes?
Yes.
And when the
vibes
vibes are off, when the vibes are off, like, okay, negative on this one. So, like, I didn't know how much, it takes. You have to sit down with it. You have to, like, set time aside. So hopefully you're doing that. If you haven't voted, take that time. Because I took my ballot in, with all my markings. I went in and I had skipped one of them. And I was like, oh, my gosh. What? I went with my heart and I voted with a woman. So
you
hopefully...
can bring your phone in there and keep Googling. This is a great time to plug the fact that we have done election prep episodes. So if you're unsure about the ballot measures, the questions that they have on there, if you're unsure about the judges, or if you are in Las Vegas City and are voting for mayor, we've got episodes on all of these things. Look in the archives.
And resources that we point people to as well.
Yeah, Nevada Independent has a great... Independent has the judge's guide. Is that right,
They
Dayvid?
do. And, articles were written about all the judge races in both the Review-Journal and the Nevada Current. So lots of resources out there. And then, of course, all the different unions and business organizations, et cetera, they all have their lists. So you can get a lot of information. You just have to work for it and, decide what you trust.
Time. Yeah, you have to make the time to, like, really go for it.
If you are mailing in your ballot, and if you drop it off too early, there is a ballot tracker online in Clark County. So you can look that up and you can put your information in and actually make sure that your ballot is being processed and stuff like that too. If you're a little
I'm obsessive
nervous,
about that.
Are you?
I just want to shout out that website. It's nevada.ballottrax, and Trax is TRAX.net/voter.
Yeah, give her a Google, or I bet we could put it in our show notes too.
Yeah, that's easy.
Bertha, this was your first presidential election to vote in because you became a citizen last July.
Yes.
We cannot celebrate that fact enough. Welcome.
I know. We're so excited, Bertha.
I have my little flag that they gave me at the immigration office.
Yay.
The day off. I still have it. Like, I almost took it to when I win it.
It's so wonderful. I mean, okay, so you already talked about a couple of things that surprised you as you went through this voting process. Were there other surprises for you? Because you also voted in a primary, too.
I voted in the primary. So
that was your first vote.
That was my first vote. It was super excited. I went in. They asked my name. I was a little nervous. There was a lot of back and forth going out. And I was like, oh, my gosh, what is happening? It's because I'm brown. It was not. It's because they didn't see my signature. And so they were like, oh, there's no signature here. Like, how do we compare? And I leaned in and I whispered. I said, oh, it's probably because it's my first time here voting. And so they went crazy. Yay, yay, claps everywhere. It gave me goosebumps. It was exciting. And I missed that. At the president, this second time I went and voted for my presidential, I was like, oh, they're not clapping for me this time.
You don't get applause every time you vote as a citizen.
You know what Bertha does? I'll give you applause, Bertha. Yay!
I think we should have people with all kinds of like happiness around celebrating this.
Yeah.
Because it did feel exciting.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. So much of your personal info is out of your control, like your insurance provider that has your social security number and your favorite retailer that has your payment details. If they get breached, your information, your identity, is vulnerable. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year at LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
So another big change in the election is we now have, as opposed to an assigned polling place, we have vote centers, which is a great idea, as opposed to like, oh my gosh, I don't know, David, if you've heard the experience of like, you end up at one place and it's like, oh no, your polling place changed this year. You have to go across town. And it can be this whole thing that stops people from voting. Now you can go anywhere. Anyone in Clark County can go anywhere to vote. They're all called vote centers.
Right.
So you both went in person. Is that right, David? To a vote center?
I did. I went to the Meadows Mall, old school.
Wow. Okay. So what can we expect from these new vote centers? Are any noticeable changes? Just like, what was your vote experience like?
This is something that's been going on for a while. You used to have to go to your local elementary school that was nearby or middle school or whatever. And it's just way more convenient. I mean, once early voting hit and you were able to do that pretty much anywhere, it made sense. So I don't think anyone is thrown by it. You do run into neighbors usually because you tend to go to the ones that are closest to your home. Meadows was open on the day that we wanted to vote on a Sunday. It was about 11 o'clock. We went online to see where the open polling places are.
Yes, you can search that too.
And for Election Day, essentially they're all open and you just need to verify that that is a official Election Day voting.
Bertha, what was your experience like at the vote center?
I went to one of the rec centers. I went to Desert Inn, and that's the same place where I went for the primary, and it was completely different. There was people tailgating, having, a lot of like propaganda and things. There were...
Oh, like people campaigning.
Yes. There were at least a couple of candidates there was a judge, there was somebody from like the school board, that they were there. And I was like, it's a Sunday afternoon, like, what are you doing here? In my head, I didn't engage. But I think that I found that very intimidating. I was gonna say gross because it did gross me out. I felt harassed. Like people were just like yelling, shouting at you as you walked in. There were cardboard cutouts of people. It felt gross. So to me, I went in with my husband, who is a tall white man, and so I feel like if I had gone by myself, I would have felt worse.
Oh, unsafe.
Yes. And I was like, there's clearly a line. There's like 100 feet. They're not supposed to be like within 100 feet. Here's the thing. I need that definition to change because I wanted them to be out of the parking lot.
More space. Yeah.
Yes. They were taking up some of the parking spaces that were closer to the voting site. Like people were like right up the line. They weren't even, within a good distance of it. They were like right up the line where they couldn't cross. And that did not feel good. When I did it, I felt good about it, but that bothered me a lot.
That's awful. I'm so sorry to hear that, Bertha. And it does sound like, this seems very new, this level of aggression at the polling places. I hope that it's something that's looked at and shifted for the future.
Me too, because if that was on a Sunday, part of the early voting, I can only imagine how it's going to be on Election Day.
Oh, man.
I wonder what the intention is because I don't think it's about changing minds. Like you're not going to change anybody's mind while you're walking between your car and the voting center, right? Like what is happening? Why is this being?
Yeah, it's strange, right?
I think it's a show of force, I guess, or not force of popularity, or maybe it reaffirms people's feelings like I'm not the only one voting for this person or whatever. Although I have to say that like the best person would be one of those way down ballots like vote for Bob Smith for dog catcher. And you're like, well, I didn't have any idea who I should vote for. Okay, Bob showed up.
Especially if he has one of those like blow up guys and like a costume character.
Yeah. I was like, all right, Bob, you got it. Like that would be.
Let's make this a party. Let's actually tailgate.
Right.
Yeah, if it was like good, if it was positive, but that's the problem. Like it was not.
It didn't feel that way.
Yeah, it didn't feel like a mascot just showing up, wanting to take pictures of you. It felt like you were a moment away from seeing a fight break out.
No.
Like at a rally, whatever it might be. Ugh.
Okay, so let's talk some do's and don'ts in the voting booth. One we actually discussed in Friday's podcast, where you should not be wearing any sort of attire that specifically promotes a candidate. So leave your Harris shirts, leave your Trump hats, leave your Bob the dog catcher. That's not an electable position,
Necklace.
David.
I picked one that was random because I didn't want to. County assessor.
Bob the county assessor.
I don't know that that's on this ballot, but anyway, it might be.
Leave your Bob the county assessor shirt at home, please. Yeah. If you forget, like you can flip the shirt around, you can put the hat in your car or whatever, but like you cannot go into a polling station supporting.
It's highly discouraged.
Highly discouraged. Just your vote is private, right?
And if you can't reasonably fix it, they're going to hustle you in and out.
So what are some other do's and don'ts of the voting booth? You can bring your phone, you can look things up.
But you cannot take a picture of your completed ballot. So
Correct.
do not post that. That's a no-no.
Post it. Yeah.
Right.
What happens if you do that? I don't know. I was so afraid I didn't even take my phone out.
You could potentially get in trouble and get a call. And I don't know if they, are going to be serious about that in this day of social media. But we've been hearing, don't go around posting like the inside of your booth after you've done it. And I think that's wise anyway. Also, like if you go with your friend or your spouse or whatever, under limited circumstances are you allowed to kind of discuss what's going on. The general rule is do not like, hey, babe, who are we voting for, and then information floating back and forth. That is definitely a no-no in the booth. But if you need assistance and that's set up ahead of time, that is more allowed. Although I got to say, I saw what looked like couples sneaking information back and forth and no one was saying boo about it, but they were clearly together.
Hey, and just a heads up that those ballot selfie rules, as they're known, are different state to state. But yeah, in Nevada, they are not allowed.
Luckily, we have one of the best I voted stickers. So just
yes, we do.
Take the selfie outside with the sticker.
Which reminds me, if you go vote at Allegiant Stadium, which anyone can, and it's the first stadium polling place ever, you get a special Allegiant Stadium polling I voted sticker. So that's pretty cool.
If you go to the UNLV library, they also have a really cool sticker.
Do they?
City of Las Vegas, if you go down to City Hall, I guess you get a showgirl one.
Oh, that's cool. I'm also doing what Bertha's doing in that I have the ballot that was given to me as my mail-in ballot. You also get sample ballots here, and I filled out in advance, like after my research of like who and what issues I want to vote on so I feel very like assured in the polling booth that I'm going to like get it right based on all my research and not like feel nervous.
Yeah. When you go up and you don't have your mail-in ballot, you have to sign an affirmation that you have destroyed it. But if you go there with it, but you don't want to drop it off, you just want to use it as what the poll worker said was a cheat sheet to someone who was doing that.
Yeah.
Said, just make sure that it's destroyed afterwards. You could leave it with us.
Oh, that's a great idea. Okay, good tip, Dayvid.
Oh, I didn't know because I tried. That's what I was going to do because that was my common sense. Like, oh, this is here. I'll just take this and I'll use it. But my husband wasn't sure. He's like, no, I don't think you can have it.
It's a little complicated that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, let's not test any waters.
Yeah.
Just take the whole booklet in.
Let's not potentially void your brand new citizenship. We haven't even really taken it out for a good drive yet.
Exactly. So he was like, let's be as safe as we can.
So Las Vegas has been getting a lot of attention. Nevada is a state really post Barack Obama and Clark County in particular this election. So we only have 6 electoral votes. So Dayvid, why is Nevada like such a big deal? What kind of impact is Clark County going to make on this election?
It's a weird calculus. There are a lot of, pathway to the number of votes that you need. And our 6 tend to, if I lose X state, where can I make that up? If I lose Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, if I lose Michigan, but I get Wisconsin, like where can I make up the deficiency? So yeah, we're not mighty in number, but we're mighty as sort of the spackle of the electoral roadmap to success.
And truly purple.
That's why people like to have that. Because if you have Nevada in your pocket, like as a win, you could maybe fend off an unfavorable result in another state.
And we are influenceable. We do change. We are a true swing state.
That's why I love it here.
Me too, Bertha.
It feels right. I don't feel rejected here.
Yeah.
You're in the melting pot.
Well, we have a really high percentage of Latine people here. We have a fairly low percentage of white people, which is fine with me. We've got an indigenous population. We've got a huge percentage of immigrants. That's way above like the national average. So, is part of why politicians are so engaged with us, is it our diversity, that there's a lot of voters that can vote a lot of different ways?
It's possible how they test messages because how it plays in Nevada may play in other states. Like we could be a very good test lab for that. I think it's way more important in the early primary season because Las Vegas and Nevada in general, but Las Vegas specifically, looks very much like all of the United States. We are the melting pot inside the melting pot. So unlike Connecticut, which might have a more homogenous population, we've got this very diverse population. And so,
Right.
As an early voting state, the presidential candidates who resonate the most in Nevada are the ones who might very well do better on the national scene, which is why Nevada is so
Interesting.
important. Yeah.
I'm curious to see, too, how the Native vote will impact this election. I mean, we saw a big shift in Arizona because of Native engagement, and we're seeing laws also. There's been a lot of shifts for the positive as far as voting laws and the execution of voting here in Nevada, in that early voting, the earliest of voting, was made available to Native people who often had to travel further to polling stations, and a new online system, too. As of this recording, we've got a day and a half left in early voting. Have there been any early surprises? Like, has it turned out as expected?
The numbers are very robust, and there is a possibility that we might be record-breaking with early voting. Essentially, it could be maybe 2/3 of the people who have already voted before Election Day. So that is definitely significant. That's the trend that we're on. Last Thursday, it was 43% already of people who are
gosh.
eligible to vote have voted.
I mean, I'm sure you've both seen those billboards around town that said we're expecting a record turnout. Please vote early. I thought that was really interesting, and obviously it was effective.
Well, I'm just excited that people are engaging. Before I could ever vote, and before I lived in Las Vegas, I would do work, right? Like I would drive people to the polls on the day. I
Right.
would ensure that my family, with my cousins, my uncles, my aunts were registered to vote, that they got information on who was on the ballot. That is civic engagement, is what we need to move the needle on anything. So that's why I got so excited when, at the prospect of higher engagement. Because this is the bare minimum. And if we can drive more people to vote, then maybe we can also continue that engagement in between elections, which is where it matters so much.
And Bertha, you just reminded me of something really important. If you're not registered to vote, you can do a same-day registration here in Nevada. So don't be like, oh, I'm not registered, it's too late. It is not. Go to a polling place tomorrow, the day after this recording, Tuesday, and you can register right there and cast your vote all at once. Do it. There's nothing stopping you from voting. That being said, do you think we're going to get any election results Tuesday night?
Some.
We're just going to get excitement. We're just going to get all kinds of emotions thrown at us.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Maybe local, maybe for mayor.
Oh,
I would assume that we're going to know who our mayor is on Tuesday night of Las Vegas, no doubt.
Since election betting is a new thing, do you want to take a bet on when we will find out who is the new president of the United States?
No,
how
thank
long
you.
did it take last time?
Saturday after is when they announced it.
And Nevada was the last. It was Arizona that mattered.
I don't think Michigan was quite in yet when they decided, but they ended up going for it. But yeah, it took Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Once they announced Arizona flipped, everybody was pretty sure it was over.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So we are not going to miss the spam mailings, the incredible amount of mail. My mailbox wouldn't shut. That's how much crap was in there.
I also got a high amount of postcards, like handwritten postcards.
From other voters, yes.
I did not like the text messages.
Constant text messages.
No, me neither. And the calls.
My filter finally caught up. My spam filter finally caught up.
Ugh.
And I congratulated that old spammy on the social medias. Thank you for doing the heavy lifting this election season.
I mean, what will we miss the least about this election season? I think I'm going to miss the calls even less than the text and the mail. I currently get 6 to 10 political calls a day. Southern Poverty Law Center, I love you. Stop calling me. I'm ghosting you. Take a hint. I'll keep donating to you, but I don't want you to call me anymore.
I wasn't answering, and then I went to vote, and I answered, and I said, I already voted.
And that was it? Did it end it?
Take me off.
Like, no, I'm trying to sell you solar panels. Where are you going? Ma'am.
Then I was like, I'm a renter. Don't bother me either.
Oh, God, that is so easy.
I got one call, and I've been getting a lot of calls, and some of them are like asking who I voted for already because they know that I voted, whatever. One call sort of, I don't know, heartened me. And that was, and I'm not going to say which party called me, but one of the political parties did get me at a moment of weakness where I answered the phone and I had a 702 number. It's the 725 numbers that I'm always sus on, but 702. And I go, hellos. And they had offered me a free ride share to get to the polls if I wanted to go. And they left a toll-free number for me to call, and they will send a lift to my house and take me to my closest polling place, wait for me, and then take me back. And that I realized, and while I didn't need that service, that's a nice thing that's out there. And I'm imagining that all the parties, or even the elected officials' campaign headquarters, if you called them up and you said, hi, I want to vote in person, but I don't have a way to get there. I'm not close to public transit, or whatever the reason. I don't even think you need a reason. They will probably send either a volunteer or one of these ride shares to your house. So there's really no reason, if you wanted to go through the ritual of voting in person, that you can't.
Yeah, even if you have internet access, I mean, hopefully you do, you listen to this podcast, give it a quick Google search. There are free ride shares, but also volunteers available that are nonpartisan, that just take anyone who wants to vote to go vote. So please do that.
But also shout out to all those poll workers, too, who are there.
Yeah.
Whatever you do when you go in, there might be a wait. That means that the citizenry is activated, and that's a good thing. Yeah. Be nice to these folks. They're trying to get you in and out of there as quickly as possible. But I think if you follow a lot of these tips, it should be easy.
But also, advocate for yourself, because if somebody is serving as a poll worker and for some reason they're not nice.
Thank you for that counterpoint. That is correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And don't get turned away. You can vote anywhere. You can register on the day. There's no voter ID requirement yet.
No, it's just your name.
You just have to be able to match a signature or have some other indicia. But look, bottom line here is ID or no ID, only registered voters' votes are counting. That's the way it works. And there is no mass fraud. There are no people gathering up people to go in and pretend that they're Governor Joe Lombardo to go vote when they're not Governor Joe Lombardo, ID or otherwise. It is a safe system. There are many, many, many checks and balances out there. And whether you have an ID or not, you will be able to vote. And even if you can't prove you're a registered voter, they will take a provisional ballot. So make sure that if there is an issue, you advocate to do a provisional ballot, because those are available at every single election center.
This is from Dayvid Figler, Esquire. He knows what he's talking about. Don't forget, free rides to the poll, and you can register to vote at the voting center on the day. So, take the time to do it.
Yeah.
Your polls open at 7 a.m. They close at 7 p.m., so hopefully you can go before or after work. And if you are in line to vote at 7 p.m., stay in line, as they say, because as long as you're in line, you still get to vote, even if it's after 7 p.m. That's it. Thanks for helping me get prepared and helping all of us get prepared for this election tomorrow. Bertha, Dayvid, talk to you both soon.
Sounds good, and have a very easy election experience.
Thanks for having me.
And congratulations again, Bertha, on your citizenship and your first presidential vote.
Thank you.
Woo-hoo! That's all for today here on CityCast Las Vegas. Hey, if you enjoyed this show, go ahead and send this to a friend, especially if they need a little help voting. You can also rate the show and leave us a review anywhere you get your pods, and subscribe to our morning newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Take care.